My daughter didn't yell when she said it. That was the part that stayed with me. She stood near the sink, turning her engagement ring around her finger, eyes fixed on a crack in the tile like it held the answer. Then she said, almost casually, "Mom, I think it might be better if you didn't come to the ceremony." No anger, no accusation, just distance. I smiled out of instinct. That reflex mothers learn early: don't make it heavier, don't make it about you. I nodded and said, "If that's what you need." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. That hurt more than the words themselves. Before all of this, my life was small but full. I lived in a second-floor apartment above a closed-down tailor shop. The radiator knocked in winter, the stairs smelled faintly of dust and old fabric, and the hallway light flickered if you didn't hit the switch just right. I worked weekdays at a daycare and cleaned classrooms at night. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and kept my hands busy. I raised Nora alone. Her father left when she was 8, and after that, it was just the two of us against everything else. I never missed a recital, never forgot a birthday. I learned how to sew buttons, fill out financial aid forms, and clap loud enough for 2 parents. I thought that counted for something. When Nora got engaged, I cried in the break room at work. Happy tears, proud ones. I called my sister immediately, already imagining dress shopping and late-night planning calls. But those calls never came. Nora met Caleb during her internship. He was polite, confident, and came from a family that never checked price tags. His parents talked about venues and guest lists like they were planning a corporate event. I tried to stay out of the way. I didn't want to embarrass her. I didn't want to seem difficult. At first, I told myself the silence was normal. Weddings are busy. Lives change. Then I stopped being included at all. Dates were set without me. Decisions were made elsewhere. When I asked gentle questions, Nora gave short answers and changed the subject. The first real crack came when a coworker congratulated me on the engagement party. "What party?" I asked. She showed me photos on her phone. Candles, champagne, everyone smiling. I wasn't there. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table long after my tea went cold, trying to figure out when being a mother turned into being an inconvenience. I still believed love would fix it. I was wrong. And that was only the beginning. The distance didn't arrive all at once. It came quietly, dressed up as coincidence. Nora still answered my calls, but they felt rushed, like she was checking something off a list. If I asked how planning was going, she'd say, "Fine, Mom," and then ask about the weather or my work, anything but the wedding. I told myself I was imagining things. I didn't want to become the kind of parent who complains about being left out. Then the rumors started. My sister called one Sunday evening, her voice hesitant in a way that made my stomach tight. "I ran into one of Caleb's aunts," she said. "She asked how you were, holding up." "Holding up from what?" I asked. There was a pause, too long. Then she said, "She thought you were sick." I laughed, because that's what you do when something makes no sense and you don't want it to be real. "I'm fine," I said. We changed the subject, but the words stayed with me. A week later, my neighbor stopped me in the stairwell. She touched my arm gently and said, "It's good to see you out and about." I asked what she meant. She looked embarrassed. "Oh, Nora mentioned you weren't really well enough to attend big events right now." I didn't answer right away. My ears rang, that dull sound you hear when something inside you shifts. I went into my apartment and sat down without turning on the lights. I replayed every recent conversation, every short call, every excuse. I called Nora that night. "Why do people think I'm sick?" I asked. There was silence on the line, not dropped call silence, thinking silence. Then she said, "I don't know, Mom, people assume things." Her voice sounded tight, like she was balancing a story that didn't quite fit. I wanted to push, I didn't. I told her good night and hung up feeling worse than before. After that, the versions of me multiplied. Someone told my sister I was unstable. Someone else thought I had moved away. A distant relative asked if I was doing better now. Each time, I corrected them with a smile. Inside, something twisted deeper. I wasn't just being excluded, I was being rewritten. Nora stopped visiting altogether. When she did come by once, she didn't sit down. She stood near the door, coat still on, eyes darting around my apartment like it embarrassed her. She didn't stay long. She didn't explain why. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and really looked at myself. Same face, same tired eyes, same woman who had shown up for everything. So why was I being treated like a liability? That's when the thought finally settled in, heavy and undeniable. If people believed these things about me, it was because someone had told them. And suddenly, I wasn't just hurt. I was afraid of what I would discover next. Because the truth was clearly being handled without me, and I had a feeling it was about to surface. Once the idea took root, I couldn't shake it. I wasn't being forgotten. I was being edited out. I tried to ignore that thought for a few days, hoping it would dissolve on its own. It didn't. Every quiet phone call, every vague excuse only sharpened it. So I did something I had avoided my whole life. I stopped guessing and started looking. It began accidentally. While cleaning out a drawer, I found an old notebook where I kept important numbers, emergency contacts, work schedules, things I couldn't afford to lose. Tucked inside was a folded page in Nora's handwriting. Vendor names, a venue address, a caterer, notes scribbled in the margins. I stared at it longer than necessary. She must have written it months ago, back when she still talked to me like I was part of her life. I told myself I was just curious, that I wasn't going to interfere. I just wanted clarity. The first call was to the venue. My voice shook slightly when I gave my name. I expected confusion, maybe an awkward apology. Instead, the woman on the other end said, "Oh, thank goodness, we've been trying to reach you." My breath caught. "Me?" "Yes," she said, cheerful and relieved. "You're listed as the primary contact. We still need final approval for the layout." I sat down hard in the chair. The room felt too small, too quiet. I thanked her and hung up, my heart pounding like I'd just run up a flight of stairs. I told myself it was a mistake. One wrong entry, nothing more, so I called the caterer, same answer. "You're the account holder," he said. "We assumed you were handling the final details." I felt cold now, clear-headed in a way that scared me. I called the florist next. Then the rental company. Every conversation followed the same pattern: recognition, relief, expectation. I was the name on everything, but I hadn't been invited to a single discussion. I sat at my kitchen table afterward, the notebook open in front of me, hands folded like I was waiting for a verdict. The truth settled slowly, painfully. I hadn't been excluded because I didn't matter. I had been kept out because it was easier to control the story without me present. They needed my name, my history, my reliability, but not my presence, not my voice. I wasn't the proud mother. I was the invisible administrator, the convenient explanation, the problem that needed to stay quiet. And suddenly, the rumors made sense. It wasn't random confusion. It was preparation. I thought about calling Nora right then, demanding answers, asking why my life had been turned into something that needed to be managed. But another thought stopped me. If they had gone this far without telling me, what would happen if I stopped holding everything together? That question didn't scare me. It steadied me, because for the first time, I realized something important: I wasn't powerless. And what I did next would change everything. But before I made that choice, I needed to decide one thing. Was I still trying to protect her, or was it finally time to protect myself? I didn't sleep much that night, not because I was panicking, but because my mind felt unusually quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after you finally name what's been wrong. I lay there listening to the hum of traffic outside my window, thinking about how many times I had chosen silence to keep the peace. How often I'd convinced myself that being needed mattered more than being seen. By morning, the decision had already been made. I didn't call Nora. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and lined the notebook up neatly in front of me. The vendor list looked different now. Not like a set of plans, but like proof. Proof that I hadn't imagined any of it. Proof that my absence wasn't accidental. I took a breath and dialed the venue again. The woman answered on the second ring, warm and familiar. I gave my name. She immediately switched into business mode, talking about timelines and confirmations. I let her finish. "There's been a change," I said calmly. "I need to cancel." Silence. "I'm sorry," she asked. "Cancel the booking?" "Yes," I said. "Effective immediately." She hesitated, then gently asked if there was a problem. I thought about how to answer that honestly without unraveling everything. "Yes," I said. "There is." She didn't push. She just explained the policy, the fees, the process. Her voice stayed kind. When the call ended, my hands were shaking, but not with regret, with relief. I sat there for a moment, staring at my reflection in the dark screen of my phone. I expected guilt to crash into me. Panic, second thoughts. None came, so I made the next call. The caterer sounded cheerful, talking about menu tastings and final counts. I stopped him mid-sentence and told him there would be no event. He went quiet. "Is everything all right?" "No," I said, "but this is the right decision." The florist was harder. She mentioned how excited she was about the arrangements. I apologized for the inconvenience and canceled anyway. With every call, something inside me loosened. Like I'd been holding my breath for months without realizing it. When I finished, the apartment felt different. Not emptier, lighter. My phone started ringing an hour later. I watched it buzz on the table. Nora's name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. Another call followed. Then a text. "Mom, please call me." I turned the phone face down. This wasn't punishment. This was space. For once, I wasn't rushing in to fix something I didn't break. By late afternoon, messages started coming from numbers I didn't recognize. Short, confused, urgent. I ignored them all. I made myself soup. I washed the dishes. I went for a walk around the block and noticed things I hadn't in years: the smell of rain on pavement, the sound of someone laughing through an open window. That night, I slept deeply. But somewhere else, the story I had been erased from was starting to unravel. And soon, I wouldn't be able to stay invisible, even if I wanted to. Because the day of the wedding was getting closer, and the truth was about to show up uninvited. I woke up on what was supposed to be the wedding day to sunlight pushing through the thin curtains. For a moment, I forgot what day it was. That felt strange and freeing. There was no tightness in my chest, no rush of obligation, just quiet. I moved through the morning like it was any other. Made coffee, watered the plant by the window, folded laundry that had been sitting too long in the basket. Ordinary things, grounding things. Then my phone started vibrating. Once, twice, again. I didn't look at it right away. I already knew what it would say. When I finally picked it up, there were missed calls from Nora. From Caleb. From numbers I didn't recognize. A few messages stacked on top of each other, growing more frantic as the minutes passed. "What did you do?" "The venue says it's canceled." "Mom, this isn't funny. Call me now." I placed the phone back on the table and sat down. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I wasn't trying to ruin anything. I had simply stopped holding it together for them. Around noon, my sister called. I answered that one. "You okay?" she asked immediately. "I am," I said. And I meant it, she exhaled. "Things are chaotic." I could picture it without seeing it. Confused guests, angry phone calls. People realizing the plan they thought was solid had vanished overnight. "I didn't lie," I said quietly. "I just stopped pretending." She didn't argue. After a moment, she said, "I'm proud of you." That mattered more than I expected. An hour later, my phone rang again. A man's voice this time, sharp, irritated, used to being listened to. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he demanded. I didn't need him to introduce himself. I recognized the tone, authority without curiosity. "You should speak to your daughter," I said calmly. "And mine." He started to interrupt. I ended the call. The silence afterward felt earned. By mid-afternoon, something shifted inside me. A realization I hadn't planned on. I didn't want to stay hidden anymore. Not out of spite. Not to make a scene. But because I was tired of being a rumor instead of a person. Tired of being talked about instead of spoken to. I stood in front of the mirror and studied my reflection. No makeup. Simple clothes. The same woman I'd always been. "I didn't disappear," I said out loud. I grabbed my coat and keys before I could overthink it. The drive there was calm. Too calm. My hands rested lightly on the wheel as if I were going somewhere familiar, which, in a way, I was. When I pulled into the parking lot, cars were already lining the edges. People stood outside in formal clothes, checking phones, whispering, confused. I stepped out of my car and closed the door behind me. No one noticed at first. I took a breath and started walking toward the entrance. This time, I wasn't staying away. And the moment I stepped inside, the story they'd been telling without me was about to collapse. The hall felt wrong the second I stepped inside. Everything was set, but unfinished. Rows of chairs stood neatly aligned, facing a bare arch with no flowers to soften it. Long tables were covered in white cloths, smooth and untouched, like they were waiting for something that had forgotten to arrive. A few guests hovered near the walls, whispering, checking their phones, pretending not to stare. I walked slowly, my footsteps soft against the floor. Then I heard a voice rise above the rest. This is unacceptable. A man in an expensive suit stood near the front, phone pressed hard to his ear, face flushed with anger. He paced like the room belonged to him. I recognized him immediately. Caleb's father, the one who paid, the one everyone listened to. He ended the call sharply and turned, ready to unleash his frustration on the next person in reach. That's when he saw me. His expression shifted, confusion cutting straight through his anger. "Who are you?" he asked, loud enough for nearby conversations to stop. The room grew quiet in that way only public spaces do when something important is about to happen. I didn't rush my answer. "I'm Nora's mother." He frowned, glancing past me like he expected someone else to appear and explain the mistake. "That's not possible," he said. "We were told." He stopped himself. "Told what?" I asked gently. Behind him, I noticed Nora for the first time. She stood frozen, her face drained of color, her eyes locked on me like she'd seen a ghost. Caleb was beside her, jaw tight, shoulders stiff. Caleb's father turned slowly toward them. "You said her mother wasn't involved," he said. "You said she couldn't attend." Nora swallowed hard. She didn't answer. "And you said," he continued, his voice rising, "that she wasn't well." The words landed heavily in the silence. I felt something strange then, not anger, not heartbreak, but clarity, clean and sharp. "I'm very well," I said. "I just did what I was asked." Nora's eyes filled immediately. "Mom," I held up a hand, not to stop her, just to steady myself. "I stayed away," I continued, my voice calm. "I stayed quiet. I let people believe whatever made things easier." Caleb's father looked from me to them, his anger shifting direction. The air outside felt lighter than the room I had just left. I stood on the steps for a moment, breathing in, letting the sounds of the street replace the murmurs behind me. Cars passed. Someone laughed down the block. Life kept going, completely unconcerned with the collapse of a carefully constructed lie. I didn't rush to my car. I wasn't running away. I drove without a destination, letting familiar roads carry me until I ended up near the small park by the river, the one Nora loved when she was little. I parked and sat there, hands resting on the wheel, watching the water move steadily forward. No hesitation, no apology, just motion. That night my phone stayed silent. No angry calls, no explanations. I was grateful for the quiet. It felt earned. I slept deeply, the kind of sleep that comes when you finally stop bracing for impact. The next morning, my sister came over. She didn't knock, just let herself in the way she always had. She looked at me for a long second, then pulled me into a hug. "You didn't break anything," she said into my shoulder. "You exposed it." We sat at the kitchen table, drinking coffee that went cold while we talked about nothing important. The world felt steadier than it had in months. 2 days later, Caleb's father called. His voice was different, measured, stripped of authority. He apologized without explaining, which mattered. He admitted he'd believed what was convenient. I thanked him and let the call end where it needed to. A week after that, I received a letter from Nora. Handwritten, careful, the kind of writing you use when you're afraid of being misunderstood. She said she was sorry for the stories, for the silence, for choosing comfort over honesty. She admitted she'd been ashamed of where she came from, afraid of standing out in a world that valued polish over truth. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She said she understood if I needed time. I held the letter for a long time before setting it down. Nora came by a few weeks later. She stood on the porch, just like she had months earlier, but this time, she didn't keep her coat on. She sat at the kitchen table and cried without hiding it. There were no excuses left, just truth arriving piece by piece. "I thought love meant fitting in," she said. "I didn't realize what I was cutting away." I listened. I didn't rush to comfort her. I didn't punish her either. "Love means being seen," I said, "even when it's uncomfortable." Our relationship didn't reset, it reshaped. Slower, more careful, more honest. What changed most wasn't her. It was me. I stopped apologizing for my presence. I stopped making myself smaller to keep peace that wasn't real. I spoke when something hurt. I stood still when silence was expected. The world didn't fall apart. It adjusted. And in that adjustment, I discovered who I was when I finally refused to disappear. Life didn't transform overnight. There was no montage, no sudden applause for choosing myself. The same apartment greeted me every morning. The same radiator knocked. The same job schedules filled my week, but something fundamental had shifted, and once it does, it doesn't shift back. I noticed it in small moments. When someone asked about the wedding, I didn't dodge the question. I didn't soften the truth to protect anyone else's comfort. I simply said, "It didn't happen," and let the silence land where it needed to. Some people nodded. Some looked uncomfortable. That was no longer my responsibility. Nora and I kept talking, slowly, carefully. Some days were easier than others. Trust doesn't rebuild in straight lines. She didn't ask me to pretend everything was fine, and I didn't demand she become someone else to earn forgiveness. We learned how to exist honestly in the same space again, and that was enough. What surprised me most was how differently I carried myself afterward. I walked into rooms without rehearsing apologies in my head. I stopped explaining my worth before anyone questioned it. I stopped mistaking endurance for love. I realized how many years I had confused silence with strength. Being a mother had taught me sacrifice, but no one ever taught me where sacrifice should end. I had believed love meant shrinking, bending, absorbing discomfort so others wouldn't have to. But love that requires erasure isn't love. It's fear dressed up as devotion. One afternoon, months later, I sat by the same river where I'd gone after the wedding that wasn't. The water moved forward without hesitation, carrying everything with it: leaves, reflections, time. It didn't cling to what it had passed. Neither would I Nora join me that day. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. The space between us felt honest, not strained. When she leaned her head on my shoulder, it wasn't out of guilt. It was out of choice. "I'm glad you didn't disappear," she said quietly. "So am I answered. I still love my daughter deeply. That never changed. But I love myself now in a way I didn't before. I understand that dignity isn't something you earn by enduring mistreatment. It's something you claim by refusing it. That wedding never happened, but something far more important did. A lie ended. A boundary formed. And a woman who had spent years being edited out of her own story stepped fully back into it. If there's one thing I know now, it's this. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need revenge to reclaim yourself. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop holding a false story together with your silence. And if this story made you feel seen, even a little, stay with me. Because choosing yourself once is only the beginning.